Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I see a couple familiar faces in the audience, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Garrett English, and I'm actually the Study Abroad Coordinator here at CBU. And I'm joined by Ashleigh, and she's from Living and Learning International, which is one of our partners, and they're based in Ecuador and Rome, Italy. So what you saw there was just a preview of their Ecuador program. But Ashleigh is going to walk us through a little bit of what their programs look like and what the process is, and what are the things you can look forward to if you attend one of their programs.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're so glad that you can come and hear about our program today. As Garrett mentioned, I work for Living and Learning International, and my role with Living and Learning is Director of Enrollment. Fancy term, but what it means is I basically talk to you from your interest point up until you're either in one of our programs in Italy or Ecuador. Some of the things that we offer within Living and Learning, just to give you a brief overview of what we do, we have semester programs, and I'm going to highlight primarily our semester programs in Quito, Ecuador, and Rome, Italy. But we also do a couple other components as well, if that fits better with your schooling schedule. So we also do a global virtual internship, which is you can do it from your hometown. It's basically an internship that you do online, and you join up with one of our partner programs around the world and get 3 credits for that experience. So we run that each semester and also in the summertime. We also have study tours, which is more of a shortened study abroad experience. So it might be a faculty or staff at CBU running a class in maybe Ecuador. You go to the Galapagos Islands and learn about some science stuff there. So it's a shorter amount of time, and I know CBU does a lot of that as well. So we partner with CBU in that way as well, but that's just a little bit of an overview. I'm going to pull up a couple slides for you to have some visuals for our Ecuador semester abroad. And in Ecuador, you get to experience 3.5 months, and you'll be taking a minimum of 12 credits up to 18 credits. And then we'll talk through some of the other fun things that you'll be able to do. So let me get this rolling here.
Anyone that's a sociology major or MSW major, we're planning some Ecuador faculty-led trips before the whole pandemic happened. So I think that's going to be something we're going to pursue in the future. So just a shout out if that is your major and you're interested in maybe going with faculty on a shorter program in the future.
Thanks, Garrett. All right, so Ecuador, I'm going to walk through these slides and kind of explain to you what it looks like. So this is the city of Quito, which is the main city that you'll be living in. And it runs about 1 mile long or 1 mile wide, and it runs 26 miles long in a valley. So it's really awesome. Altitude 10,000 feet. So get ready to get those lungs nice and working while you're there. There's a site that you'll check out different places around Quito while you are studying there. So these are just kind of some glimpses of what you'll see. This is the Basilica, which is in Old Town Quito. It's an awesome church that you can hike up and see those towers from the top of the cathedral. City shots here right outside your apartment. We have the staff, which we have resident coordinators, which is one of the positions that I think is most important to our program. I mean, not the most important role, but it is a very awesome part of what we do. The resident coordinator will live in the apartments with the students, and they'll walk through their time with them, being a discipler and mentoring them and kind of giving you as a student an experience to process your time there. So This whole group of people is running our spring 2021 semester right now. We have 25 students on the ground, and we are excited to be having students during this time. This is fun community life. This is on top of the rooftop of one of our apartment buildings, but as you can tell, it looks like a great time. All smiles. All right, this is a little shot of inside our keto apartments. So in the keto apartments, you will live 10 to 11 students in each apartment with your RC. And so you'll share a space with other students, and you'll live within our living and learning apartments for your 3.5 months there. You're there half of the time. And then the other half of the time, you're going to be with Ecuadorian family for a homestay experience. And I have a shot of what a family looks like in here during our slides. But this is the keto apartments that you are checking out. Here's a homestay family. You are paired up with one other student within the program, and you guys will greet each other, and then you'll spend a month within that family's home. They'll cook for you. They'll take you on fun adventures on the weekends. But it's a really great time to just learn from the Ecuadorian culture in that way and practice your Spanish. Some people say, well, do I need to know Spanish when I go study abroad in Ecuador? That we have all levels of Spanish speakers in Ecuador. So our classes are taught in Spanish, or in English, excuse me, except for our Spanish class. So you don't need to know Spanish, but you will get exposed to Spanish while you're there through one of your Spanish classes, and then just immersing yourself into the culture. So this is our classroom setting. We have an education building. So all of our classes are taught in-house. So all the professors are living and learning, hired out. So this is an example of what a classroom looks like. You'll go on amazing adventures. Ecuador is a beautiful country. You have 4 regions in Ecuador. You have the Galapagos Islands. You have the mountains where you live. You have the beach, and then the jungle. So this is in a town called Baños, and which means bathroom if you speak Spanish, which is a funny name for a town. But you'll travel on the weekends to different locations. So Baños tends to be like a weekend trip, and you'll do fun things like this, hike waterfalls and check it out. And let's see what else we got here. You might be on a swing set out into the middle of nowhere. This is just a group of students from spring 2020. And here is Mitad del Mundo. So that's one thing about Ecuador, you're on the middle of the world. So you'll go to the equator and spend a little time learning about what that looks like, being on 2 hemispheres at one time, which is really fun.
Ashleigh, did you hear about the egg, the famous egg? I think not everyone knows about that.
Yeah, so the egg, I guess it's been hard for me to balance the egg on the middle of the world, but I've done it once or twice. But apparently, if you put an egg on a nail, you can balance it and it will stay up. It's crazy. I've done it a couple times, but it's really hard to find like the right angle to like make it balance. But that's one fun thing that you'll do at the middle of the world. See if you can balance the egg on a nail. Here's the jungle, which the jungle is one of my favorite trips that we do as a program. You'll go there for a week and you'll spend time serving at one of our local ministry sites called Jungle Kids for Christ. It's a school that was started for kids in the jungle that typically the education system there is pretty broken, and so students don't finish higher levels of education, like meaning middle school, high school. So this school that they started there has given opportunity for these students to go from kindergarten all the way through high school. And it's been an awesome ministry to the jungle and helping students come out of the typical lifestyle that the jungle kind of has culturally provided. So This is a fun little adventure that you go on. You ride on these canoes down the river, and it's really awesome. This is the Galapagos Islands, which is one of your trips. You'll take 2 trips at the end of the semester that are kind of more of a, after you're done with school, you'll go to the Galapagos Islands, and then you'll go to Machu Picchu. So this is a fun adventure that you might partake in, is scuba diving. That's an extra cost to students, so it's not a part of our program costs, but many students take up on this opportunity because it's once in a lifetime opportunity to scuba dive with sharks and crazy fishes and turtles in the ocean and all that. So iguanas. Galapagos is known for seeing wildlife that you won't see in other places in the world. So it's a really cool opportunity, and you can chill like this. Here's Machu Picchu. I'm sure you've maybe have heard of this location, but Machu Picchu is just an awesome place to learn about the Incan ruins, and it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. So you'll experience that during your time while you're in Ecuador. You'll take a trip to Peru, go to Machu Picchu, and enjoy the sights. And then at the end of the semester, you finish at the beach. We do an orientation at the beginning of the time, and then we finish with a debrief at the end. And so you'll go to the beach and enjoy some sunshine and just relaxation. And then our team will take you through kind of a last, or basically a time to help you figure out how to re-engage into culture back at home. So that is Ecuador.
Ashleigh, could I ask real quick?
Yeah.
I know that there's like there's an internship component, kind of like a possibility, right, as part of the program. And so students are studying at the center, and then they have an opportunity for a homestay. They get to live in the apartments. There's, meals that are covered as part of that. They have those excursions, and they're taking their classes, but then they also have like an opportunity for an internship.
No, that's great. Thanks, Garrett, for bringing that up. It's easy to miss things as you're explaining. So each student in Ecuador does a customized internship. So whether your major be, let's say, nursing or psychology or business, any of what you are studying at CBU, we try and pair you as best for a 1 credit to a 3 credit internship. We've had several students come down that are also in the social work realm, and they'll do like their final practicum with us, which means that will basically your primary thing that you're finishing off with us is 400 hours of internship. So we have an internship coordinator that is on staff with us that customizes the internship to the student. So whatever your requirements may be, we do our best to pair you up at a place that we partner with in Quito. So it's a cool.
Ashleigh, do you have an example, like some example of maybe potential placements? I remember talking to a student that got to work with Venezuelan refugees, which was really cool.
Yeah, so a few years back, a kid from APU, Azusa Pacific, wanted to work within politics, so political science major. And we went out and found him a spot to work in the government office, in the presidential office. And he was able to learn from the Ecuadorian government, which is a great opportunity. We've had students that are in the business world, working at a coffee shop, basically learning how to run a company or what that would look like to have your own company and manage it. We work with schools, we work with a lot of nonprofits and missions organizations. And so if you're passionate about like orphanage ministry or sex trafficking, we've had students do that. There's an after-school program called Pan de Vida, which means bread of life. And it's more so than just feeding the kids after school, but providing them the word of God within their time that they come and get physical food, but also spiritual food with that. So those are a couple of highlights.
Awesome.
As we kind of move along here, I'd love to throw in our chat box here, you'll see a document come through. If you fill that out, I'm going to award one person with a $20 gift card. So fill that out and then I'll go through and one of you will be a lucky winner today. It's just basically a study tour or study abroad interest form that we use, but it's fun to maybe win a little something with that.
I'm gonna throw my name in the hat, Ashleigh. So
yeah, throw your name in there.
Okay.
So that you can be one of the winners too.
All right, sounds good.
As we move along here, there's one other thing that I wanted to mention is if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat box. There's like this Q&A little box at the bottom that you can throw it in and we can address those questions at the end because I know there's a lot of information that will come at you today. So feel free to throw a question in the chat box and either Garrett or I could answer that hopefully. So without further ado, I'm going to go and show you a little bit of what Italy looks like. I'm going to play like a 3-minute video. It gives you kind of a visual of what the program's like. And then I'll talk a little bit about it and then we can answer questions. So let's see. Rome. All right. Well, there is a little overview of Rome. Made me pumped to watch those videos again and see the opportunity that you get to spend in such a historical city. I mean, it's an incredible place to study, and Europe is probably the top location of study abroad students. So yeah, Rome is such a cool place to be and doing that because it's so close to other locations that you get to see. But you got to see a little bit of an overview in that video. I'm going to show you some visuals through some photos and just kind of talk through some things. And then I'll look at my notes to make sure I hit all the points that we want to hit with you guys today.
Ashleigh, not to mention that gelato looked amazing.
I know, huh? The food, hospitality is one of the big things over there in Italy. So you won't go without amazing food, gelato, just yummy things to enjoy. Let me see if I could pull up my slides again here.
Ashleigh, while you were pulling that up, there was a question about potential summer programs. So yeah, that is an option. And actually the summer program in Ecuador looks a little bit different. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ashleigh, but you guys are still developing the Rome summer. So there's not a summer program option in Rome yet, but there is an option in Ecuador. Yes.
I think I actually lost my slides, so I might just go through and talk with it since you got the visual through the video. For summer, we're running Ecuador summer for sure, and it's an 8-week program. It will start May 17th through July 9th. And in Ecuador, we're running Spanish classes and also internship. You can do a hybrid version of that as well. So you can jump into some Spanish, one Spanish class and a 3-credit internship, or you can do like a 6-credit internship. That cost for that time is $3,500, which includes basically everything, living situation, credits, anything that our program does as far as program trips. Garrett was mentioning about Italy. We have dreams of running Italy summer as well. There's one problem though, because Italy is currently closed with COVID. So we're working on if we can get an Italian or a student visa, we can run a summer program there, but we won't know that probably for 1 more month as we kind of iron out the details of the student visa. So we will make sure to pass along info to Garrett about our summer in Italy if we're able to make it happen. So we're talking about that would more so look like an internship thing in Italy where you're plugging into different businesses and sites there around Italy to do an internship. So that's what that would look like if we were able to run it. With Italy, a couple of the highlights there. One of them is the cooking class. I don't know if you caught in that video, but they do a cooking class for the students that they really enjoy. You get to learn how to make pasta and bread and all these really yummy things. So that's one piece of your time there. During the classes, you're going to the major historical sites, Vatican City, Colosseum. You'll do a couple program trips, that's to Pompeii and to Naples, and then you'll go to Florence and Greece. So those are the major trips within the Italy program. As we were saying, it's really fun to travel in Europe if you're over there, and our program offers 2 independent travel weeks, which means you get to travel to any location for your 2 independent travel weeks. You'll plan out your own trip and you can go to France, Switzerland, Spain, whatever options that you choose to travel to. We also have a couple service learning opportunities that the students will do once a week. One of them is with refugees in the area, and so you'll go and serve and plug into that ministry site. Yeah, I think that's the overview. They don't do homestays in Italy yet. So what they have done is they have an Italian adopted family for each student. So you'll be able to connect with a family in the area and just get to know them through the adopted family program, but it won't be you living in the Italian houses with the people there. The housing there, you live in a convent, which is kind of fun. There's some nuns running around, and yeah, it's a building that's pretty big. There's probably it's a 4 or 5 story building. You live on the top, one of the top floors with the overlook of the city and the rooftop. And the classes and food and all of that happens in the convent. So after class, you can go tour the Colosseum or do something fun in the city. Let me see what questions we have here. Did you already answer them all? All right, Garrett, got it.
Most of them, but the convent is so interesting. I've never heard of a program with that, and it's very safe. The fact that you're in, this compound.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting.
Yeah, so that's an overview of our Italian program, and we will be resuming fall 2021. And even if Italy is closed to like travelers, we will have the student visa thing for students to get in the fall. So that's the loophole of getting into Italy during COVID. I don't know if I can go through and explain a little overview of what it looks like to apply in our program, and then maybe if you have anything else to add, Garrett, during this time, you feel free to add it as well. So
sounds good.
Did we get the other question that just came through? Could a pre-nursing major go to Italy? Garrett might know that better. Pre-nursing tends to be hard with just the classes that you have to take and doing a semester abroad. So it probably just depends on your requirements and what classes you need, if you can actually do a full semester, or maybe like a summer option would work better. Do you have anything to add with that?
I would just add, I think for those of you that were in other sessions, you've kind of heard this, so I apologize already if it's redundant, but on the CBU side of things, basically you'll work with me, we'll work with the registrar's office, academic advising, your major's dean, to basically make sure your courses are going to transfer before you even study abroad. So we get that all figured out on our side before you would even leave. So if you have questions about, hey, I'm not sure if that's going to work with my major, or what does that look like if I'm, what was the other day, what they say, like chemistry, paint or something major, a very specific major, what does that look like to study abroad? We try to get that figured out on the CBU side of things before you even go. So just know that you kind of explore it and evaluate your courses ahead of time.
That's good. All right. Adriana asked if the faith-based aspect is of Catholic views. Obviously, you'll learn that in some of your classes just because of the history of the city. But we are a Christian evangelical program, and so a lot of it will be taught through that lens. And you asked if church or mass is required while you're there, or if you have to go, and that is based on, you're a college student there too. So if you're wanting to go, they have suggestions of places that you can join in at to go to church or mass while you're in the city, but it's not a requirement for you to go to church. So yes, great question, Leah. Price estimate for summer programs. Are you looking at Ecuador or Italy? Italy, we will let you know about price, but the Ecuador summer program, 8 weeks, is $3,500. And I could give you more of a breakdown if you want to talk more about that. So any other questions out there? Does it look like we answered all of them? I'm going to throw in my email address into the chat here. So if you want to ask any more specific questions, feel free to use that email address or go to our website, and that contact us as well goes. I answer all those questions as well. So how do you get to Ecuador or Rome or study abroad with us or start your process with us? First, I tell students that you want to talk with your study abroad director, which you have him on the line right now at your university. So it's always good to know what the process is at your school in particular, and then go from there to choosing a program, knowing how to figure out classes and finances and all of that. CBU will be your best touch point for classes and finances. So they can answer what CBU does on their side directly. But as far as, hey, I'm choosing to go to Ecuador, I'm choosing to go to Rome, you'll want to get on our website, and we have an application process that every student does. So we recruit from a bunch of different schools, and so you'll start with applying with our application, and then I'll follow up with you until you're in that country. So basically, we walk you through this onboarding process, which is application, 2 references, an advisor approval form, which would be Garrett. And then we send you an acceptance to say yes or no, you want to do the program. And then we go from there with an onboarding steps is what we call them, where you'll fill out paperwork for us and kind of learn what you need to know before you leave. So Garrett, do you want to add anything on your side with the finances and classes?
Yeah, I think Ashleigh, so usually have like a presentation that goes over like the CBU requirements, because that's always the question, right? So the main requirements are, if you're a freshman, you have at least spent a year at CBU. So you could be in the process of applying to study abroad, but you have to actually have spent a year at CBU. If you're a transfer, it's a semester. We also check with student services, we check with student accounts, financial aid. So we're pretty thorough with just making sure all the different departments on campus have signed off on it. But once you go through the process, it's all online through our Teradata website. So some of you might have been there. Basically, you start an application there. You'll want to meet with us, so you can reach out. I've left my email in the chat. You can just reach out after this, and we'll set up a time to meet and just kind of discuss which program you're looking at. I'll kind of go into the process again, because it's a lot to remember. But once you're starting the online application with CBU, that's when you'll submit your courses, and you'll also meet with academic advising and meet with your dean as part of that process. So that's the CBU side of things. And then on Ashleigh's side, if you guys decide, hey, I am really interested in exploring this program, yeah, you'll have another process with them, but we work together on that. And if you guys have questions on financial aid, because I know that's always another concern, or hey, how do I pay for this? The thing I would say is, if you're going during the summer, that's typically out of pocket, so you won't get financial aid for that. But the nice thing about summer is a lot less expensive, very affordable. When I hear $3,500 for 8 weeks in Ecuador, that's probably the price I would pay just to travel there on my own. So the fact that they're including, like an internship, lodging, insurance, excursions, it's pretty amazing. That's really worth it. And then if you're thinking about spring or fall, you can get government aid, you can get student loans. So if you think about government aid, Pell Grants, Cal Grants, any of that aid, but the thing to consider is you won't get your institutional aid. So any scholarships you get would have to be through like a study abroad company, or maybe if you're looking into Italy, there's scholarships that the Italian government offers, but you wouldn't be able to get the CBU institutional aid. So keep that in mind. The other side of that, though, is that this could actually be more affordable for you than CBU or than a typical semester, just because of what the costs look like. Ecuador is a very affordable place, and they use the US dollar, which is really cool too. So if you're thinking about going to Ecuador, you can save a lot of money and get a lot for what you're paying. The fact that there's like an excursion to the Galapagos alone, coming from the US, or that's several $1,000s just to go to the Galapagos, and that's built into the program. Machu Picchu, Peru, that's a whole other country, and that's like, built into the program as well. So very cool, getting a lot of amazing things for the cost of tuition in the program.
That's great. Thanks, Garrett. Another question came through about scheduling. What does that look like? So we plug in all of our classes during the week. So just kind of your typical, like how you do classes at CBU, it'll be sort of the same setup as you'll go to class Monday through Friday. You'll have weekend excursions, and you're asking if there's enough time for school trips and to serve in community. I think there is enough time for it all. The way that they schedule it out, they try to make it as, you'll be busy and you won't have a lot of like free time to just go do whatever. But obviously if you're in Italy, you get to do the 2 independent travel weeks that are on your own. And then in Ecuador, they also schedule based on how it works. So you'll have enough time to do all of the things that you'll want to do in both countries. So do you have anything to add on that, Garrett?
I think with any of our study abroad students, it's always a balance between academics and, you're taking an internship or whatever you're doing, you're studying, and traveling, right? So I think sometimes, like even when I was studying abroad, I wanted to spend most of the time on traveling, but I think that you'll find you have enough time for both. There's plenty of opportunities to travel, to do fun things, and there's plenty of opportunities plenty of time to study and without having to be stressed out that, hey, I don't have enough time to travel, or I don't have enough time to study. It's a good balance. Yeah.
We got another question about the 2 independent travel weeks and what does that look like more in depth. So when you arrive in Italy, the directors are going to talk you through those 2 weeks and basically come up with a plan of what you want those 2 weeks to look like. Typically, students will pick another student or 2 to 3 students in the program. You'll have to do it with another student just for safety reasons. You can't go alone, just roaming around. But typically, students will plan together, either 2 to 3 pairing off to go do their travels and choosing the spots that they want to go. And this is also out of pocket. So students will also base their travels based on their financial, how much they want to spend and what they want to do. But the directors are willing to help and give suggestions and talk you through like what locations would be good and all of those things. And they will also have a time where they'll figure out what your schedule is, so they kind of have a pulse on where all their students are going. So I hope that answered a little bit of your question, but yeah, essentially the independent travel weeks are you're planning your own travel. So if you want to see, if you've always dreamed of seeing Paris, or if you've always wanted to go to like different cities around Italy, like Cinque Terre or Venice or any of those spots, you can do during that independent travel week.
You know what? One thing I would add, Ashleigh, is and you might have mentioned this, but it's so cheap to travel from Italy to other places. I think I've seen flights for like $50 to Paris, and obviously not every flight is $50. Might be more expensive than that, but you can find deals. Just the transportation itself is so convenient, and I think you can take probably buses, and there's just a lot of different methods to get around Italy. So not just Italy, but other countries. I know we've had students that have studied abroad, and then they're like every weekend they're going to a different country. We've had students go to like 15 countries before. It's crazy, but I wouldn't recommend that, but there's definitely options.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about our program. We'd love for you to join us someday. And if you have questions, you got our emails in the chat box here, but I don't want to keep you guys too long. We're thankful for the time that you've given us today, and please reach out to Garrett or myself for questions and get those applications in. We'd love to have you join us. All right, we got one more thing. Is the independent travel before or after the program starts? Great question. It's during the program. So 2 weeks during your 3.5 months there are dedicated for you to go travel. So like if you want family or friends to come into town, that's a good time for them to come and visit you during the independent travel weeks. All right, well, if I saw maybe, I think we're good. All right, Garrett, well, I'm gonna sign off now, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from some of these students if they have more questions.